Good day and welcome to Data Color Academy. My name is Jeff Watts. I'm a Senior Application Specialist with Data Color. And today's Tinter tip is covering just overall dispensing practices. And when we're talking about just overall practices, these are just basic tips on dispensing into a can of paint and going through that process. So before dispensing colorant into a can of paint, um, and before you actually, once you get the can of paint and you check the can of paint with the barcode reader, if you have that, to make sure that you've got the right product, before removing the lid, it's always best to tip all containers over, whether this is a small sample size up to a 5-gallon can of paint, to make sure to wet the top of the lid on the underside before you open up the can of paint. So that way no colorant, when you shake it, sticks to the top of the lid and all of it gets incorporated into the product. Dispense the colorant in accordance with your tinting procedures for your tint room and for your company. That includes everything from making sure to pick the right formula and do all the necessary label printing and recording after the dispense is over with. Once you have dispensed the colorant into the can, you're going to want to shake the can immediately, because if you don't, what happens is some of that colorant is heavier than the product and it will sink to the bottom and end up settling on the bottom and not get shaken really well into the can. This is especially prevalent with the larger cans, such as 5-gallon buckets. Make sure to place the container securely into the shaker after sealing the can by cranking it down in order to avoid spills that can be rather messy. And shake the paint until the colorant is completely dispersed. Normally, there's going to be some type of a time that's necessary to be able to do that, depending on your company, your product, and your colorant. Generally speaking, the larger the paint can, the longer the time it takes to shake. One piece of advice I can give you is that I have seen companies where they actually have like an oven cook timer that they'll turn on, and it will then ring a bell or ding when it's done shaking to make sure that you've shaken the paint the right amount of time. This is especially important to keep in mind when you're doing large jobs and you may have 5 or 6 buckets being shaken at the same time. In the end, probably the most important thing that you can do for your customer is to make sure to pull the top back off of the container that's been shaken, pull out a sample of the color, and check the color to make sure the color's right before you pass this on to the customer. Again, these are some simple tips, but very, very relevant in order to make sure to have consistency bucket to bucket, especially in large jobs that require multiple buckets of the same formula being dispensed. If you'd like to learn more, please sign up at our Data Color Academy. You can see and view more of the Tinter tips, as well as webinars on various software and hardware products that we have for color matching, or follow us on the Data Color blog. Thank you for your time. I hope that this was of value to you, and we hope to be hearing from you in the near future.